Hi, this is Gary Jordan, and today we're going to do something on natural law in the natural law video series, and it's about one of the major differences between our corporate common law and Roman law and natural law, and that is restitution, the art of restitution. As it turns out in my research, most of it doesn't happen after the trial. Most of the restitution is preventative. It's very, very much like the difference between our standard allopathic medicine and most of the modalities of alternative medicine. And that is, it's based on prevention. The vast majority of it is preventative versus curative. An example of how different it is with the natural law thing is we have in the corporate law and on the news you see all these big busts and all, like say the drug busts or the gang busts, and it's larger than life piles of this and that, money and guns and what have you, and it's all about the cure. The same thing with cancer. It's not about cancer prevention, it's about the cure, and it's like both things are very similar. And in my research and of natural law societies, I found that there is actually several ways in which societies have typically prevented crime from getting to the larger than life phase. And I think there's like about four of them. The first one is that they actively don't allow domination. Domination is a major, major factor in why people do the things they do in our society, because they're dominated. We're rewarded for domination. You know, somebody's really mean and a bully, they don't get put down for it. They get elected. They get put up to a CEO or something. They really do that. And the in natural law societies, it's the exact opposite. Far from being a passive thing like I always thought it is active. In every hunter-gathering society, the equality that we see is an actively cultivated state of affairs. And they do that in there are several ways in which they do it. One of which is they don't allow the members of their band to get out of hand. In that you don't see the swollen egos. When they start doing that, they get harassed and teased and brought down to earth a little bit. And when they stop having their heads swollen about how much better they are than everybody else, they stop teasing them. It's just that simple. They're just preventative. The other area is education. In our societies, we send kids to school not really to learn, but so they're controlled, they're under a supervised environment. Essentially, it's all about the control factor. It's all about manipulation. I mean, there's a reason a lot of schools look like a prison. They were designed to look like a prison, and they do look like a prison and act like one. And as a result, the child is pushed into these curricula, these enforced paths, whether or not it happens to be what they're interested in. In a hunter-gathering society, education is very much like the movement of unschooling, in which the child chooses what he or she resonates with. They're attracted to something. They'll go for it. They'll learn it. They'll go nuts. I mean, mine's flutes. I mean, this baby is really something else. But whether you're pottery, whether you're into reading, whether you like knitting and weaving, planting plants, going off and exploring nature, all of those things are valid. But you're not going to get them in school, because the schools are about, oh, you need to do this at this time slot, this in that time slot, in this specified order, because we know what's better for you. Not necessarily, but they think they do. And as a result, the difference is that a child, I mean, it's the breastfeeding, the infant basically chooses the time, not the mama. So there's a level of trust. They trust the child's instincts, and then they take what that child learns through their instincts, and they help the child to incorporate it into the needs of the village, the needs of the band, the needs of for food, for shelter, for for clothes in the areas where they really need it. Some places you have to have clothes for your tool shop, and as a result, that brings me to another aspect of it, and that is it's a sharing thing. No one's hungry. No one's homeless. If somebody's homeless, the whole tribe's homeless. If someone's starving, the whole tribe's starving because the game's gone, the plants aren't doing their thing. Whether it's a horticultural society like some of the food forests, whether it's pure hunter-gathering, fishing, it's the same thing. The same thing applies. I mean, if no individual is starving. It's not like our society where you have this whole segment of society that's homeless, starving, filthy, disgusting sometimes. I mean, to the point where even a more natural person like me finds it a little hard to handle. But you don't have that. I mean, these people are poor. By modern standards, these hunter-gatherers are poor. Yet you see no homelessness. You see no starvation, except as a group. That means, like I said earlier. And so everything is shared. You bring home the game, you bring home the fish, you make things for everybody. I mean, you play music for everybody. That brings me to the element of play, which is something our society does not have. We're very serious about everything. We think we have to suffer. We're taught that if you're playful, you're not really serious about what you're doing. Actually, far from it. I find that small children, when they're playing and they're doing it for fun and just going for it, they're far better at what they do than most of the adults that are so serious about it. Not because the skill's better, but just because they're willing to go at it for hours and hours and hours because they're drawn to it. It's fun. And that the hunter-gathering society, tribes and bands, they actually incorporate singing and playing and laughing and dancing into their everyday work. To where going to do the things you need to do to survive is not a chore. It's look forward to. You sing with your buddies, you play, you dance, you laugh, you have a good time doing it. And so everything gets done, everything gets what's needed, but it's done in a relaxed, playful, happy way, and that helps with the emotional belonging, helps with the stress, helps with that aspect of crime prevention. It seems totally alien, but when you realize that the emotional needs are met, the physical needs are met, the sense of belonging and trust is met, you're not going to have a lot of crime just with that. And there's one other element that in some tribes, some groups like some natural law group like our poster child, Somalia, they have judges appointed for a child. And their job is to interact with the child, help the child's moral and ethical development, and as a consequence, and also to go to trial if that's necessary, either defendant, prosecuting, whatever. But they're the ones that go with the child. And so that's a trusted adult that helps raise the child in the ethics, in the prevention of crime. If you see something going wrong, like anger management, frustration, or they're oversensitive to playfulness, you address it long before it becomes larger in life and you have to do, more extravagant things. There's no status associated to that, but that's the way it is. And that kind of reminds me of a Hawaiian medical bill setup, the schedule, what we would call a medical bill schedule that I saw at a pharmacy many, many years ago when I was growing up in Lancaster, California. And it was totally the opposite of, you got the medicine woman got more money or more reward for keeping a person healthy than for death. Nowadays, the doctors, they get way more for someone getting majorly sick and dying. Uh, if you have a minor small illness, you get a little less than if you're fully well. You get, and it's the whole mindset. It's the whole way of thinking. Prevention is everything, not curative. And so, like I said, Somalia, they have that. You can adapt it, mostly for boys because they're an Islamic country. But you could easily adapt that principle to a society that believes in the equality of boys and girls. And by the way, there's very little sexism in hunter-gatherer tribes. In fact, there's none. So the equality, which we all talk about in our Bill of Rights and our paper law, actually is practiced there. It's kind of amazing. Anyway, so those are the things that help prevent. So in your tribe, in your band, in your family, in your community, in your village, you can practice these things. You can adapt those to the appropriateness of your culture. You can modify them a little here and a little there, so long as they observe the natural facts of life and don't try to go against the life itself that the creator, source, whatever you want to call it, has created. If you do those things and do no harm to another, there's a lot of leeway for how you play it, how you organize it. That's appropriate for your band, appropriate for your family, your village, your tribe, your part of the world. And so I would say go with it, have fun with it, and make it your own. But restitution is mostly about prevention. So look at it that way. Look at the school, look at the education, how we educate our children and adults. Look at how we take care of each other, how the haves and the have-not create crime. When you have a society where everybody shares in the gain together and shares in the loss together, you don't have crime. Think about how you become a godparent of sorts to a child and help he or she to prevent problems, prevent the acts of crime. And you always have the play, the laughter, the joy, the singing when you work, to where your heart is light and healthy, and where you're not stressed, you're not angry because life is so hard. Keep in mind, almost all these hunter-gatherers by today's standards are poorer and poorer. Yet, strangely enough, it's them that are rescuing everybody else, including in Africa a few years ago. I was reading that some African area, I think it was the Kalahari, there was some kind of drought or something. And it was the hunter-gatherers that came to the rescue of the agriculturists, who were supposed to be, according to the textbook, are more advanced. I don't think so. Anyway, but anyway, that concludes today's video. So I hope you enjoy it. Hope you make it your own and learn from it. And I'm looking forward to the various feedbacks in the various forms. Thank you. Bye-bye.